Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Gemma, and with me is James, our head of experience here at Sherwen.
Hello.
Over the next over the next 45 minutes, we're going to take you through all the customer experience trends that we're seeing shape 2026. We'll look at the full journey, how to inspire customers before they buy, how to make purchasing completely effortless, and how to retain growth loyalty after the sale. James will be sharing the insights, examples, and practical tips, and I will be guiding us through that journey. At the bottom of the screen here, you can probably see that you can download a few free resources which relate back to some of the topics that we are sharing today. We will also be covering any of your questions at the end of the session, so please feel free to use the chat box on the right-hand side to leave a question. So, should we get started?
Let's go.
Right, so let's start at before the purchase and talk through how AI-powered shopping and social commerce are driving discovery. What are we seeing currently impacting the way that people are shopping?
So yeah, great start. We're seeing social commerce making a huge impact on how people shop at the moment. Just in the UK, that market, the social commerce market, is set to more than double from around, I think, 7.5 to about 16 billion by 2028. So you can see kind of how fast it's becoming just part of everyday shopping at the moment.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so like even now, more than half of shoppers in the UK, internet users, they're already buying directly through social media, and that figure is only going to jump, or is jumping to nearly 3/4 for under 45s. The numbers jump even higher for Gen Z, where we're seeing nearly 2/3 using social channels to make purchases in the last year, and that's a huge increase from 2024. I think we're up about 40%. So it's not just a passing trend. About a quarter of millennials are now buying through social platforms at least once a month. So we're moving from, I guess, what could be called an experimentation behavior into more of that habitual style of buying.
I've got to admit on that one, I'm guilty of falling into this trap.
Yeah, of course. It's things like, TikTok Shop, Instagram, they're the ones leading the way. So if retailers aren't in this space right now, you're definitely missing out big time.
Absolutely. So what would you say is currently paving the way in social commerce?
I think one example that's really caught our attention at Sherwen recently is P. Louise. So they ran a TikTok live stream and made a whopping £2.7 million in, I think it was just like 14 hours.
I was reading the press around that the other day, and she's absolutely aced that strategy, hasn't she? I think paired with their new superstore in Trafford Centre, she's a busy woman.
I mean, yeah, it really does show what's possible when you combine the right platform, a highly engaged audience, and that frictionless in-app purchasing experience. You can really see and tell that her marketing team is definitely hitting social commerce hard. Social commerce, it's entertainment, it's community, and it's commerce all in one. I think the key here is authenticity, trust. Perhaps most important is that they know their audience. They've got that genuine connection with their customers, and it creates a compound effect it's going to take their brand viral. I think what's important to consider as well is that cultural expectations do change. So again, a good example, in Japan, shoppers are more cautious. So the brands there need to approach social commerce in a way that resonates locally.
Absolutely. With P. Louise, she's definitely paving the way there, isn't she? And I think it shows what an incredible impact you can have. So what does the future of online shopping look like to you?
So I guess if social commerce is the big disruptor now, the future of online shopping is, almost certainly AI powered. We're already seeing early user adoption. I'm going to grab my notes because I've got some good stats. Around 35% of UK consumers say they've used AI to help with their shopping, and that's a huge, 39% increase on last year.
I wonder if a lot of this is subconsciously using it through Google, or is it more so through an assistive tool?
Yeah, so it's not just curiosity. Over half of these consumers say that AI is inspiring their choices, like outfits or meals, with, again, roughly half saying that AI is helping to cut through the online noise?
I think it's good to also point out for those younger target markets that, as always, younger shoppers do tend to lead the way. So, with more than half of 16 to 43-year-olds are already using AI shopping tools.
Yeah, well, hopefully 43 still counts as young, Gemma.
I hope so.
But within this space, trust is really building. Another interesting stat from my book is that about 69% of UK consumers say that they trust AI assistants to provide accurate product information now. And then from that, 76% go on to say that they want those agents to go further, to actually take actions and complete the purchases for them. This is something I'm really, really interested to learn more about. So if anyone on the call has got experience in this, let's catch up later and talk about this a bit more.
Absolutely. It's such an important stat for retailers to lean into. Consumers are ready to engage. It's really about, I suppose, just capitalising on this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, retailers can already see it coming. 3/4 say that AI agents will be essential by 2026. So that's, it's only a few months away, 2026. Yeah. So we're heading into this world where essentially AI assistants become personal shoppers. They'll find, compare, and even buy on behalf of the consumer. For brands, the challenge is going to be making sure that their products are easily accessible and visible within those AI ecosystems.
Absolutely. So if AI is going to make such a huge impact, you say, how can retailers make sure that they are visible and being recommended?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's a great question. And I think it's going to be the retailers that master this that will succeed. Because if AI agents are going to shop on behalf of consumers, then the big challenge for retailers becomes, how do I make sure my products are the ones being found and recommended? So first, I'm going to say it comes down to data quality. AI agents rely on structured, accurate, detailed product information. So if your catalog is messy or incomplete or, at worst inconsistent, you're going to get left behind. Think about it. If an AI agent is asked to find, off the top of my head, vegan leather trainers for under £100 in a size 5. It's my wife's birthday on Sunday, so that's what I'm going for. It's the brands without clean, enriched data, they're not even going to show up in the results.
Yeah, and I suppose that's where things like schema and alt text comes into play, and ensuring that you're literally spelling it out for Google and optimizing those product pages within an inch of their lives. It's very important.
Definitely. Yeah, 100%. Those things are all going to help, and I guess they're even just basic essentials now. I can go on. Like the second thing I think we need to consider in this world is those key trust signals. So we know from recent surveys that just over 2/3 of consumers here in the UK, they trust AI assistants to provide accurate information. That trust is only going to hold if they can confidently use AI to point to ratings or reviews or availability. So retailers, they really need to make these signals accessible to all of those AI systems.
I think what we're learning here is trust is just the common theme throughout the customer journey.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's so high up there, especially for consumers and their relationship with brands that they're purchasing from. I guess that the other thing that we shouldn't really forget here is kind of how you integrate with external platforms as well. So just as social commerce today is strongest on things like TikTok Shop, Instagram, I guess even Facebook. Tomorrow's AI-powered shopping is going to be driven by ecosystems, and that could even be search engines, marketplaces, personal AI assistants built on top of e-commerce, but also the LLMs themselves.
Yeah, it is actually crazy to think what it would look like in 5 years' time.
Oh, for sure. Like things are just changing so fast at the moment. I'm going to go on. Like 3/4 of retailers are already saying that AI agents are going to be essential for next year, like I've already said. So it's the forward-thinking brands that are preparing themselves now by making sure that their feeds, their APIs are all optimized for these kind of environments. So with this in mind, there's definitely a clear implication. The focus isn't really just on your website anymore. It's about making sure your products are structured, trusted, and visible, really important, visible in the spaces where AI agents are looking. It's the retailers that get this right. They're the ones that are going to be pushed and then ultimately purchased in this new landscape.
So what about physical retail? Would you say it still plays a role? I know that we're seeing a lot more effort being put into like bricks and mortar over the past couple of years, but these are only working so well due to digital efforts combined, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, physical retail absolutely still has a role. In fact, maybe it even becomes more important as these digital channels accelerate, because shoppers, they still want the combination of both. This is where the idea of Phygital, it's not my favorite word, sorry, but Phygital really comes into play. And we're already seeing lots of experimentation of it in stores.
Oh, absolutely. I was in Trafford Centre the other week and JD Sports and Zara is doing
Yeah.
that so well. With JD Sports, it was like an airport full of digital screens, personalization options from like the Stanley Cups through to football kits. And for a tech geek like me, it was like I was in a kid in a candy shop. It was amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Also with Zara, it was crazy because there was no queues. The actual checkout was just a surface that you put your items onto, and it automatically detects the items, and you just tap your card and pay. So quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those where I've got to admit though, they probably need to really look into how they're doing that, because the actual checkout was just a room on the back of a building, which it was actually quite hard to find. So they definitely need to improve their signage.
Yeah, I mean, really, really good examples. We can look and like some retailers that they're going even further, piloting stores where you can walk in, pick up a product and walk out without ever standing in a queue. Like you mentioned, your phone or even a loyalty app handles those checkout experiences just automatically. Think about things like Amazon Fresh, stores over London. Although I think I read last week they're closing down, so perhaps not the best example. But others are using things like augmented reality mirrors, or again, combined with mobile apps that sync as soon as you enter a store. So they can recommend products based on your browsing history, or even what's already in your wardrobe. I think what this shows is that the consumer demand is there for this type of experience. We know, again, from the research and the stats that I've got in my little black book, that 70% of shoppers are saying that they still want to see and try products themselves before they commit, but they also expect the speed, the convenience, the personalization that they get online. Again, my wife, perfect example of this. So the bricks and mortar spaces, they're evolving from just transactional places to experience hubs. Place where you build confidence pre-purchase, where you're inspired, where digital layers enhance the journey rather than replace it. I think Apple, they absolutely nailed this years ago. If anyone's really keen to kind of explore this further, get down to the store, Apple store in Covent Garden as soon as you can. Like the amount of experiential stuff going on there is it's just insane.
If anyone hasn't experienced it, it's like a museum and an adult playground all in one. They've actually got daily workshops there too, which you can book onto. So next time you're in London, definitely check it out.
Oh yeah, definitely. I went in to buy a MacBook, and I ended up joining a workshop all about how to illustrate using your MacBook. It was brilliant. So anyway, I think like physical retail, it's not just about shelf space anymore. It's about creating a digitally connected environment that's going to build trust. It's going to build confidence, and it's going to build loyalty. The winners, they're going to be the ones who make stores feel as seamless and as smart as the online experience. And then, if we think wider, it's not just fashion or grocery that can leverage this. Even places like garden centres, which I guess you wouldn't immediately think of as digital first, but they can really benefit from these digital experiences that we're talking about. So imagine walking into a garden centre and seeing digital screens that don't just advertise offers, but actually guide you. They can show seasonal care tips or plant pairings or interactive inspiration boards that are going to help you design your spaces. Digital signage, again, we can push these so far. They can also build community. They can promote workshops, like I mentioned in the Apple Store, kids clubs, even events. You combine these then with things like QR codes or an app, And those same screens can then personalize offers based on the shopper's purchase history. It's things like a discount code on the compost that you always buy, or suggestions for companion plants that perhaps you haven't even purchased yet.
Yeah, if I didn't already struggle to enter a garden centre without clearing my bank balance. But it is really about the subtlety which works so well to get consumers engaged.
Yeah, I mean, that's perhaps the best way to execute exactly what you just said there, with subtlety. Following on that theme, the digital in-store experience could even extend into tool selection. So a screen by the tools could help you choose the right kit for a certain job. So I don't know, let's say you're building a raised bed or laying some decking. It could recommend the right tools, the right drill bits, the right gloves or prep tools. I think that's where digital takes the stress out of decision making and makes sure customers leave with everything they need, just like they would if they were shopping online. So the experience isn't about replacing being in the garden centre with all those smells, the colours, the touch. It's about enhancing it with knowledge, convenience, and again, inspiration. The nice thing about interactive digital signage is the flexibility. So you can change the content instantly. If the sun comes out on a Saturday, you can just change the signage to barbecue deals or garden furniture in real time. That's the real beauty of it.
Absolutely. And I think what that shows is how adaptable these tools are, whether it's
Yeah.
luxury, grocery, or even gardening. Digital can kind of be woven in to inspire customers and help them convert before they even reach that till. So in terms of examples, would you have any examples of businesses doing this well currently?
Yeah. So IKEA, they've got an augmented reality application. It's called IKEA Place, I think, and it lets people visualize how their furniture is going to look in their home. You can use your phone. I think you can use your tablet as well, and it really helps bridge that gap between seeing something physically in the store versus visualizing it in your space at home.
It's so cool. I don't know about you, but this is so dangerous for me. I'm bad enough with the paint visualization, what they call paint visualizers.
Yeah.
But my poor husband dealing with my impulsive needs to decorate every year.
Yeah, yeah, the paint visualizer, it's a lot of fun, to be fair. But these type of tools, they're not just store driven, they enhance the decision process. So customers can come into stores with a better idea of what they're looking for. The side effect of this is that things like returns reduced, and then the in-store experience is just massively increased. I mean, aside from that, I'm definitely still going to IKEA to get my meatballs.
I was going to say, you can't beat those meatballs. And also, there's a Chester store coming soon. So
Oh wait,
watch out. So just to run through the key takeaways from this session. So before shoppers even make a purchase, they're looking for inspiration, guidance, and confidence.
Yeah.
Social commerce is helping them discover products in ways that feel natural and authentic. Phygital experiences are blending the best of online and in-store to build trust and engagement. And AI-powered shopping is starting to personalize and streamline that journey even further. So for retailers, I think the challenge and opportunity is making sure that you're present, discoverable, and trusted across those touch points. What I would say is that the brands that get it right are the ones which will be recommended, purchased, and remembered.
Yeah, definitely.
Just moving on then to our during the purchase section. So let's look into the next stage of the buyer's journey, which is making the purchase effortless. James, one of the themes that we've talked about is making purchase effortless, and with Accessibility Act coming into place this year. So now I would like to cover online accessibility and why does it matter?
Okay, yeah. So I guess in inclusive design and accessibility, they're essential. It's not just about the compliance with the Accessibility Act that's coming in now, basically. It's about creating a better experience for everyone, which is always going to have an impact on conversion. So by designing for accessibility, whether it's intuitive flows or neurodiverse users, things like voice navigation or high contrast visuals, you make the purchase process easier and more enjoyable for customers. That's going to mean higher engagement, fewer frustrations, and ultimately higher conversion rates. So it's win-win. Not considering inclusive design is just a huge missed opportunity in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And this all ties in with creating those great frictionless experiences. So what does that actually look like in practice?
Sure. So I used to describe my job as a UX designer as helping people get from point A to point B with a smile on their face. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. Creating frictionless experiences means removing anything that slows down, confuses, frustrates the customer. It's about making the path from discovery to purchase as smooth and as intuitive as possible. The reality is that this means optimizing every single touch point from checkout to mobile, include personalization, accessibility, of course, so that the customer barely thinks about that entire process. For example, I know that complicated checkouts can result in 70% of shoppers abandoning their cart, which really does highlight just how critical frictionless design is in that kind of shopping experience.
Yeah, that's really not surprising, is it? Personally, I do hope I'll be emailed a discount code if anything.
I mean, yeah, you're not the only one that's kind of loading their basket up, Gemma, and leaving it. And I know for a fact that that behaviour is something that retailers are really proactive around capitalising on. Frictionless experiences, in this area include streamlining the checkouts with fewer steps, guest options, multiple payment methods, key mobile optimized flows, personalized recommendations, and as we've been talking about it, those accessibility features. The goal really though is to make the journey effortless. The easier it is to shop, the more likely customers are to convert, return, and then recommend your brand to others.
There's nothing worse than going in to pay for something and realising that the gateway doesn't support Apple Pay, and having to run around your house looking for an actual physical card. But yeah, give us a real example then of how brands practicing this well.
Yeah, sure. So one of my favorite brands, Nike, their app-based in-store checkout is great. It's a really good example. You can scan, pay, and leave without queues, and that really then is kind of how you define a frictionless experience in action. I've also experienced these kind of really frictionless experiences firsthand. Whilst I was doing a checkout redesign for one of Europe's biggest e-commerce sites, I removed friction, I encouraged progression, and I added layers of transparency. And that project resulted in an annual uplift of about £5 million in profit.
That's amazing. All I can say is I hope you got a cut of that.
I wish.
So let's discuss the future of making purchases. What should businesses be looking to implement to make that purchase as easy as possible?
Yes, another really good question. I think a good example here could be voice. Making purchases as effortless as possible means embracing newer technologies like voice commerce. So smart speakers and voice assistants are starting to let customers shop using just their voice. So for example, it could say reorder my moisturizer or find me the best running shoes under £100. But then having the order completed automatically. I do this actually quite often. I reorder my toothpaste just as it's running out through Alexa, because I don't really want to be left with that awkward moment of having to use my daughter's bubblegum flavored toothpaste. Super convenient, frictionless, very easy. For businesses though, this means making product catalogs voice searchable. So clear, structured descriptions, and then integrating with these voice platforms, Alexa, that type of stuff. The challenge here then becomes more about the conversational flows themselves. And the retailers, they absolutely need to be intuitive with their experiences, so that customers can interact naturally and easily. I think that's the key thing. In the UK, the potential with voice is significant. It's expected to more than treble in size over I think it's about 17 billion by 2030. So it's the brands again that are going to optimize for voice now that are going to be the ones that are easier to buy from and start to create and define those truly frictionless experiences.
Exactly. Alexa is such a good example. My friend's son often orders things like dinosaur noises and random toys to the house. That's a reminder out there for any parents, revise their settings.
Yeah, I do remember actually when Alexa launched in the UK, they had a TV ad of somebody ordering a lawnmower through their Alexa, and then for weeks people were receiving new lawnmowers to their homes because the Alexa had picked up the sound from the TV. So yeah, I mean it works.
Yeah, it really does. So what about from an operations point of view? How can we make sure that operations are as easy as possible?
Yeah, so back-end operations equally critical. I think probably there's actually a strong argument that they're actually even more important. You know, retailers need to ensure that their inventory, their logistics, their fulfillment, customer service systems are all really tightly integrated and optimized. So, for example, real-time inventory management is going to ensure that what customers see online is actually available. So that will reduce frustration and, as we've talked about already, those pesky abandoned carts. So automating fulfillment and intelligent order routing is going to help get products to the customer faster, more reliably. Then with an integrated customer service platform, things like queries, returns, complaints, they're all handled quickly and efficiently. And that's going to promote the seamless experience right from the start all the way to the finish. The rise of AI and predictive analytics is also transforming these back-end operations. Retailers can start to forecast demand, optimize their stock levels, and even anticipate customer need before they arise, which again contributes to reducing friction and driving efficiency. Essentially, the smoother your internal operations, the more effortless the customer experience is going to feel, even though you could have like really complex systems working behind the scenes to make it all happen.
So just to sum up, making purchases effortless, it's fundamentally about just removing those barriers, whether
Yeah.
it's through purchasing or behind the scenes. From accessibility and frictionless design through to the AI-powered operations, and obviously with the emerging voice commerce, I
Yeah,
think that every tiny detail does really count with this.
of course.
If anyone on the call would like to dive deeper into these strategies, we put together a white paper that's available to you to download on the tab section on the right-hand side. So just moving on now to retain and grow. We've talked a lot about the pre-purchase inspiration and making the buyer's journey as effortless as possible. But the customer experience doesn't actually just stop at the checkout. In fact, some of the biggest opportunities could say that is to build the loyalty and lifetime value which comes after the purchase. So let's talk about what really matters in the post-purchase journey. First off, James, why should businesses be focusing on their post-purchase journey? What a mouthful.
Well, simply put, it's easier and it's cheaper to keep a customer than it is to find a new one. And that retention is always going to drive long-term growth. I think too often businesses, they put the majority of their energy into driving the sale, but then perhaps get complacent or they neglect what happens afterwards. The reality is that the post-purchase journey can be where loyalty and lifetime value are either won or lost. Think about it. You know, a smooth, reliable post-purchase experience makes customers feel confident so that they can trust you again.
I think everyone can relate to this. We put so much trust into brands, and this is mostly based on the quality of the product and knowing that they can get it to us with ease. And if there's any problems, we are met with an easy process to fix it.
Yeah, of course. And if we focus in on that experience, you know, a bad one with late deliveries, confusing returns, or poor communication can undo all the hard work that you put into getting the first sale in the first place. And the numbers back this up. I think it's now a given that it costs 5 times more to win a new customer than it does to keep one. And the stat that I always love to quote to get buy-in on any kind of loyalty project is that an increase in customer retention rates by just 5% can boost profits by 25 to a whopping 95%. So post-purchase engagement, it's not just a nice to have. It's one of the most profitable strategies that retailers can focus on. They should be treating this stage not as an afterthought, but as a key growth driver, because every great experience doesn't just complete a sale, it's going to set up the next one.
I can't even believe that. 25 to 95% is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So is there anyone that is currently leading an example of displaying great customer retention?
Yeah, so Saks Fifth Avenue, American clothing retailer, they've absolutely nailed the post-purchase engagement. Their retention strategy is a big part of the brand, and it it shows in their loyalty. So first, their loyalty program, it goes beyond just points. They've got a clear value ladder. So as you spend more, you unlock more things like free shipping, alterations, styling appointments, birthday gifts, even like surprise experiences. Going on from that, they really focus in on personalization. So every shopper sees a homepage that's tailored to their browsing history and their predicted intent. They use smart triggers like cart abandonment, which I feel like we're talking about a lot here, low stock alerts, price drops, all of these things to help re-engage customers at those key moments or at the right moment. Again, got some really good experience of this myself, working on one of the Europe's largest, biggest e-commerce brands. Our personalization team put like huge efforts into understanding propensity to buy and identifying the key behaviors and triggers that would drive conversion. Now, in today's world, AI can pretty much replace that entire team. So there's literally no excuse for kind of adopting these strategies. And just before we move on as well, Saks Fifth Avenue, they also offer experiential perks that money just can't buy. VIP members get access to exclusive events, bespoke gear, personalized styling that really make them feel like real VIPs. It's that emotional connection that can be really powerful for brands.
Absolutely, so powerful.
Yeah.
More retailers definitely need to take stock of this strategy for sure. It's all about making that customer feel super special. In terms of overall post-purchase then, if we start with what happens immediately after the checkout, which is the delivery,
Yeah.
it is such a critical moment. What are shoppers expecting today?
Okay, so I guess short answer, trust and transparency. Delivery, as you highlighted, is absolutely central to the post-purchase experience because it's the first tangible interaction that customers have with the brand who they bought from. And unfortunately for everybody, expectations are always rising. Research shows that over, I think it's 2/3 of UK shoppers now we expect next day delivery as standard. I mean, of course, we are the always on generation, and around I think it's not quite half. I think it's about 40% say slow delivery is the number one reason why they're not going to buy from the same place again. So if you think, great, I can get my orders delivered fast, you're missing out on a trick. Customers, they still want flexibility. So nominated day delivery, click and collect, and easy rescheduling. We want it all.
Don't we just? I'm so guilty of this. I think that's why Amazon Prime is so successful. I personally feel like boycotting Amazon every single time that I go to buy something off it. But when I know that I can get something which is next day and free delivery, I mean, it's not, you pay for Prime, but I'm sucked in by that convenience, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think Amazon have got an awful lot to answer for. It's a really boring checkout experience, but it's the absolute gold standard in driving purchase after purchase after purchase. So yeah, I talked about trust there. I did say trust and transparency. So transparency equally as important. Regular tracking updates, accurate delivery windows, and then proactive communication. It all helps reduce anxiety and build trust. So the post-purchase journey, it's not just about getting a product to someone's door. It's about delivering reassurance, convenience, and reliability. When retailers get this right, they don't just complete a transaction, they strengthen the relationship. So, like I said, it's trust and transparency together.
Yeah, absolutely. Just put yourself in your customer's shoes. Would you really expect I suppose it's like, what would you really expect as a bare minimum?
Yeah.
On that note, how can businesses engage customers by going the extra mile? Have you got any tips?
Yeah, so I mean, keeping customers engaged after a purchase is about extending the relationship beyond that single transaction. Like we were talking about before, too often businesses, they ignore this part of the journey. They send out generic marketing messages. However, this is where they're missing out on that key time to build loyalty. So if you've provided, proactive communication for delivery, you're starting to develop trust. You're putting your brand front of mind. And once products are delivered and everything's fine, then personalized engagement is pretty much expected these days. So rather than blanket marketing emails or text messages, think about product recommendations based on purchase history, helpful how-to content, or tips for getting the most out of what they've just bought. You could pump in personalization here, of course. We've talked about it already. Definitely leverage AI to do some of the heavy lifting. This is going to build value and it's going to keep customers interested in your brand. Then you can start to look at loyalty and even community.
Yeah, I think in a world where AI is just so prominent, it's so important for brands to rely heavily on that human aspect just to keep that engagement high.
Oh yeah, sure. Like programs that reward repeat purchases, such as subscription models or referral codes. They really incentivize sticking with a brand. And I think another huge trend for 2026 is the focus on communities, whether that's social groups, events, or exclusive previews. Customers want to feel like they're part of something, and having a community can really transform a one-time buyer into a brand champion. One of my favorite books, Superfans, by a guy called Pat Flynn, he says fans are important, but super fans are everything. And community, it really has become a huge driver for this. I'm sure you're going to ask for example, but a really good one that I've got is Pure Sport. It's a sports supplement brand. So if you think community isn't that important, honestly, turn up to one of their events or one of their runs. You'll quickly see how important it can be for brand growth just by the sheer volume of people that are there. And on top of that, what you hear them saying about the brand. I was absolutely amazed when I went to one of their meetups in London.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it boils down to the fact that people buy from people, right?
Yeah, of course, definitely.
So you touched on subscription models. This is something that
Okay.
we've seen grow considerably, especially in 2025. Why do you think subscriptions are resonating so strongly with customers, and how should retailers be approaching them?
Yeah, so I mean, subscriptions are a huge growth area right now because they work for both sides. I think we can thank the digital products, things like Netflix, for really driving this subscription behavior. But for businesses, subscriptions, they create predictable recurring revenue and again help to increase customer lifetime value. For customers, they offer convenience, personalization, and offer or can offer a sense of exclusivity. Who doesn't like being rewarded for product loyalty with discounts and that set and forget mentality, right? I think what's really interesting is that subscriptions have moved beyond just streaming Netflix or beauty boxes. We're seeing smaller businesses use them really effectively for meal kits or pet supplies, even furniture rentals. They lock in loyalty by becoming part of a customer's routine. I think the key, though, is to make subscriptions feel flexible and valuable. So, allow customers to pause, swap, or even tailor their plan. That way, it doesn't feel like a trap, but it does feel like a more designed service around the customer. Again, I've got a really good example, personal example here. So, Elite Cereal, I think have nailed the whole kind of subscription, almost set and forget kind of way of purchasing. So each month I get my protein granola delivered, but roughly a week before dispatch, I'll get a text from them letting me know about the upcoming delivery. Then without even leaving the message, I can just simply text delay if I need to hold off for a week or skip to push for a month. I mean, really, really helpful when I've, you know, been skipping my morning protein granola in favour of a not so healthy muck something or other. But when skip and delay isn't right for me, I can just log in and password log in, I might add, and choose my next delivery date. The whole thing is, it's so simple. We talked about frictionless before. It's frictionless. It's intuitive. It's all done in a way that makes things easier for me to keep subscribing, even when I need to make a change, than it is to just cancel it completely.
Yeah, same with XL Coffee. This approach, I feel it just really helps consumers understand that brands get them.
Yeah.
They understand that we're human for one, and regardless of the subscription, the chances are that we won't use this product daily. And other factors might also get in the way, whether it's an unexpected bill or just, you know, you might just not fancy it that month. But I think
Definitely.
personally for me, that kind of makes me really value a brand so much more, because they're willing to kind of like connect with us, and then therefore we want to continue with them for longer. So, in terms of any other 2026 trends that brands need to be considering?
Yeah, so I guess, well, you know, beyond subscriptions, beyond community, one of the biggest trends for 2026, and arguably it's happening already, is to watch the way that sustainability is driving loyalty. So shoppers, we're not just looking for cheap product anymore. We want brands that reflect our values. Again, off the top of my head, I think roughly 2/3 of UK consumers consider sustainability when they're buying new products. They actively favour brands that are tackling things like climate change, recycling, you know, all those kind of things. So what's more, 4 out of 5 of UK shoppers, consumers, they say that they're willing to pay a premium for sustainably sourced goods. And actually, as a result, many are going to end up spending more.
That's just so nice to hear, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's great to hear, and it's a huge shift in behaviour, even during the cost of living squeeze that we're all experiencing. It's not just about cost, price. It's about a mixture of product and moral values. You know, we're seeing new business models emerge from this. Fashion rental websites like Her, for example, spelled HURR, huge with younger demographics. They give consumers the chance to access style more sustainably, while helping brands, whilst helping the brand reduce waste. It's a great illustration of how innovation and sustainability can work together. I've again, shameless plug, but I've got a great an old schoolmate of mine who set up a company called Burl. It's a startup that allows customers to trade in previously purchased products for credit. So basically, as a customer, I can realize the value of my unworn or old clothing, and then brands get to hit their growth and sustainability goals. It's another win-win relationship that's driving an amazing customer experience.
Absolutely. Also, I do love the name drop there. Guys, check out Bell. So I think that we've established that customer journey doesn't end at checkout. It's just the beginning of building loyalty. Delivery and returns set the tone, get them right, and you will strengthen that trust. Keep
Yeah,
customers engaged after purchase with relevant and personalized communications, and loyalty and community programs will turn one-time buyers into long-term advocates.
definitely.
Subscription are proven powerful in driving predictable revenue and convenience, while sustainability is emerging as a true loyalty driver, with shoppers even willing to pay more for those greener options and innovative models like fashion rental, showing what's actually possible. If anyone on this call would like to have some support in understanding where your business stands, any guidance on prioritising improvements or integrating any of these trends into your current business operations, our team is here to help. And we are also offering a free CX audit where we can find the gaps where your customer experience may need support and helping make that purchase as frictionless as possible. Also, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but if you need to understand more about how AI can help streamline your operations in your business, we do have a free AI readiness tool that will be linked in the comments. I'm just going to grab it and drop it in for you now. Bear with me 1 second. See if technology works, hey? Right. There we go. Okay, so I can see a few questions that have popped into the chat whilst we've been talking, so I'm just gonna run through them. James, I will pick through, and then if you don't mind doing the answering.
No problem. See how we go.
Okay, question 1. How can small retailers use AI on the budget?
Okay, I guess you can start off with off the shelf, out of the box AI tools like search plugins. What else? Search plugins. You could use things like chatbots. Of course, they've been around for a while, but with AI now, they're even better. And definitely look at things like personalization. You don't necessarily need a full in-house team to start implementing some of this stuff. Even things like optimizing your product data and then using recommendation engines can make a huge difference. As Gemma just said, we've got that AI readiness tool. Go through that. That's going to give you a really good understanding of where you could start as a if you're on a budget.
And I think that leads nicely on to the next question of how do we keep the human touch with AI?
Okay, so I mean, this is something that I'm super passionate about, and I've absolutely peppered my LinkedIn feed with this for about 2 months. So yeah, definitely use AI for the grunt work. Don't let it do the thinking for you. AI for me, it should really enhance the human interaction. It can handle repetitive tasks, freeing, and that's then going to free your team up for a more personalized service, or to provide advice, or for that community engagement that we were talking about just a minute ago. The best brands are going to be the ones that combine AI with their storytelling and the curation of their experiences.
Absolutely. And just to add on that, I think it's really important to kind of use it as an assistive tool and not take the creativity away from what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, question 3. What is the most important thing for post-purchase retention, would you say?
Okay, maybe things like consistent, personalized engagement. So emails, loyalty programs, we talked about recommendations, flexible returns. These are the things that are all going to build trust and hopefully go on to repeat business. I'm not sure if that was the most important thing. There was a lot there, but yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to break down. Yeah, lots. Question 4. How can a small business implement subscriptions?
Okay. Maybe like I've mentioned with the first question you asked about AI, maybe start small. Even a single recurring product can create a lot of predictable revenue. You look for the tools. Use the ones that are going to integrate with your platform, and then really focus on value for the customer. Combine that with simplicity within your own operations. And I think that's how you can start introducing that into your current setup.
I think as well that with small businesses, they just expect to need to have a massive budget to do things like this. But they really need to understand that actually starting small and not getting overwhelmed is probably the best piece of advice.
Definitely.
How do we make social commerce authentic and not a gimmick?
Okay, yeah. So there's definitely a couple of areas that you can get some quick wins from. Use community content, involve your audience, focus on the platforms that your audience already trusts. Go and find where they are and be in that place. It's about credibility and providing the seamless experience that we were talking about earlier. Authenticity. It's not about a hard sell. It's about being genuine.
Yeah, literally that. Okay, thank you so much for your questions. I think, let me just double check if any have come in the meantime. Nope. I think that's it. So just a quick roundup on the key trends that we are seeing for 2026 and what we believe that you should be considering. So first up, subscriptions and loyalty. Subscriptions and loyalty communities. That's a mouthful again. To drive repeat engagement. Sustainability focused commerce, so to be able to meet growing customer expectations. Hyper-personalization, but with that using AI to tailor recommendations, pricing and offers. Voice commerce and frictionless experiences to make that purchasing even more effortless than it is at the moment. Community-driven engagement, giving customers a sense of belonging. So that kind of covers everything. Thank you so much all. This webinar will be also available on demand on YouTube if you want to revisit any of the topics that we have discussed today, or share it with your colleagues, which would be really nice. And don't forget, we are here if you want to talk to us about subscription models or try out our new AI readiness tool. It is free, and you can go and download our resources below. So on behalf of myself and James, thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to continuing the conversation. Have a great day.
Cheers, thanks. Cheers, Gemma.